I was in 4th grade when my brother was drafted. I didn't really understand the implications of that, but I knew a lot of boys were going to war and that a lot of them died. He was a handsome teenager, he liked girls and cars, and had freedom that I only dreamed of because he was a boy and 10 years older than me. He, in my opinion, was very comparable to Elvis, who I'd seen only a few times on my grandmother's television. Television was a sin. We were sheltered from the world or anything bad. My dad was in the Army Air Corps, and I saw pictures of him when he returned home. He had malaria. He was completely bald, extremely thin, but had a long beard. A complete opposite to the robust, hard-working man I knew and loved. He didn't talk about war, except to say that he had it better than most. He ran a sawmill and had a houseboy. He talked about open-air markets where his houseboy purchased food he ate, and how difficult it was because meat hung in the market and was always covered with flies. When my brother was drafted, we lived on Airport Road, aptly named for the local airport was not far away. Concerned about air raids during the Vietnam War era, we had air raid drills at school. The sirens would sound, and we were taught to get under the desk, grab our ankles, and pray. I was frightened all the time. I thought that every airplane that went over us was carrying a bomb, and I would run for the house and look for the nearest shelter. I remember that it was during this time I had pretty much lost my mom. She was worried about my brother and began taking lots of medication to cope. She would pace the floor and pray. I would follow behind her and cry. She stopped getting regular letters after he went to Vietnam, and I would hear her late at night telling my dad that she feared he had gotten killed or taken as a prisoner of war. As time went on, she became worse. I will never forget coming home to an empty house and finding a note that she would be late getting home with step-by-step instructions about how to make spaghetti. My first experience with cooking at all. It quickly became my responsibility. I was cooking all the meals. My mom was either mean, angry, or absent. I took a cookbook and began making whatever I could find that we had the ingredients for. I felt fear for my brother, alone and abandoned, and worried for myself. My brother finally came home. He was injured and a different person completely at that. He would scream at night with bad dreams. He was unable to deal with simple things. Mom and Dad were very worried about him, and I was frightened by what had happened to him. It forever changed my perception of the Army and war. To my dad, it was the responsibility of every man and patriotic American. To me, it was evil and had taken my brother and family from me.